As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Well, good afternoon, my beauties. It's nice to see you. Hello. Starting off of our beautiful afternoon, Tuesday afternoon. It's so nice to see you guys. If you guys want to know what chat you're in, if you guys see the breaking news above my head, you are in the vertical chat. If you see it across my back, you are in the horizontal chat. Please be in whatever chat you guys want to be in. It is nice to have you all here. I am Bullhorn Betty, and like I said this morning, this is going to be the chat that you want to be in this afternoon. We are breaking the case down. We have gone back to the beginning of the Sebastian Rogers case. What had happened was I was getting my phone gunky. You know, we do that when we're working on cases and stuff like that. I've got a terabyte phone, okay? Many of you guys do not have a terabyte phone, and you guys can imagine how much data my phone can actually hold. I run my entire life, my entire show. We do all our videos, all of our compilations are pretty much done on my phone. So occasionally it gets a little gunky. And so I start moving stuff over. I have a system where I take the stuff from my phone, move it to iCloud. Then I take iCloud when it gets gunky, and I start taking the files that are closed that we can move on, and I move it onto an external hard drive. And that's just kind of my process to keep everything together and everything moving around, so we're never kind of gunky. Well, as you guys can imagine, we've been covering this case. We've covered this case, boots on the ground. And we've got a lot of data. We've got a lot of research, terabytes and terabytes of research for Sebastian Rogers, evidence collecting, terabytes, research, papers, a whole bunch of stuff, photos, videos, you name it. We have stored it. And so I was trying to get the stuff off of my phone onto iCloud so I could ultimately start moving the stuff that we're not going to need, that's insignificant at this point, and move it onto the external hard drive to clear it up. And I started running across photos and videos I forgot about. And I was listening to them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about this. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. And so we started out this road with just going over the stuff that was in my phone. And then I decided, well, let's see what's in the email. We never quite finished the phone, by the way. We still got to go back to the phone. And so now I realize I'm playing catch up because we did the phone. We got that up to like middle of April. Now we're going to the emails. We're bringing us up to the middle of April. Now we've got to go to all of the interviews and bring us up to the middle of April so we can see how all this flows. And we still have to go to the file itself and find out what we were talking about at certain points. Hey, Alicia. Well, thank you. Thank you. Holy Batman, 15 months. I know. You've been with me for a while. We just strolling in there like, hey, hey, and it's because I'm a love machine. Oh, no, we know you're just joking. You're just...
The news is fake.
Thought I'd throw that your way.
Oh, my God. I'll see you in hell.
Back at you, babe. Back at you. So, we're... We've been following this case and taking information, and so it led us back to the beginning. And we've been kind of all over the place. We know that the two main interviews are crucial. They're the first interviews that they gave. And we're trying to figure out what the changes happened. How many times at the beginning were they saying, this is, past tense. This is a inconsistency. This is a change. There are a few of them. There are some things that we've been picking up on that might be really an insignificant spot. But for the most part, we're picking up a lot of the stuff. And we're going to break it down on where Katie said past tense words, where Chris said past tense word, where there were inconsistencies in their statements, and where they contradicted themselves, okay? So how this all came about is I am using AI to build a Sebastian Rogers database. This is has nothing to do with any bias, my opinion. None of that is going in here. Only information from legitimate sources and interviews from the parents. That's it, okay? That's it, because what I want is to pull out this kind of stuff. Right now, we're only looking at the first two interviews. We're not even looking at all the interviews combined, and trust me, we're going to get there. You're going to want to wait for that. But right now, we're just dealing with March 3rd, 2024 interview on Duchess and March 4th, 2024 interview with Holly Thompson with WSMV. Those are the only two interviews that we are going to be dealing with on this show right now. Has everybody seen those interviews? Before I say good afternoon to everybody and kind of go and say hi to you and make this about you guys real quick, I just need to ask you guys a question, and I want you guys to show me a number 1 or 2. It doesn't matter which chat you're in. We're going to do 1s and 2s here, okay? Have all of you that are in here right now watched the green shirt interview, which is the very first interview that we saw on the news. This is with Holly Thompson in their house. This was done on March 4th. And the Duchess interview. If you've been on this channel since the beginning of this case, you have definitely watched it here. Okay, but I need to find out, is there anybody else here that hasn't watched those two interviews? So everybody so far has watched those. I'm looking at our vertical chat as well. It looks like you guys are 1s as well. Okay, Victoria is a 2. Frosty Moose is a 2. Vicky might be a 2. We've got No Room for You, Buddy, is a 2. So we have a few of you that are 2s. Okay, Stacy, you're a 2. Okay, so there's very few. So you guys, I'm going to try to keep this consistent and concise for you. We will be going back to these interviews when we get down to the point of comparison and showing, timestamp to timestamp what was said. We will get there. So you will see it in real time what they're saying. You're just not going to be very consistent with the interview from the front to the back. Oh, thank you, Brenda Brown. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Brenda Brown in the vertical chat just sent a super sticker of $1.99. Thank you. Oh, you could still see it. They could see it over here because it's a super sticker. Oh, that's awesome. That's lovely. I love that. I love that. Okay, so they can at least see that. That's good. So let me start with the vertical chat first, guys. It's nice to see you all here this morning. Bombastic is in the vertical chat, it appears. Phil, Tammy, Sonia, Libby, good afternoon. The Real Me Too, it's nice to see you. Vicky, Peggy, it's nice to see you. Sweet Jenna, good afternoon. Big Back Mike up in the house. Happy Cappy. Stacy, it's nice to see you. Oh, Maddie, it's nice to see you. Megan Els, it's nice to see you. Groovy Gal. Christy, it's nice to see you. Dees, Elizabeth, Brenda, hello. Darren, it's nice to see you. Cheyenne. Michelle, hello. Miss Robin, AEL, it's nice to see you. Oh, thank you. Tammy, Jules, it's nice to see you. Elizabeth, Mary, oh, hey, Mary, it's been a little while. Jennifer, hello. West Virginia Holla Girl, dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. Wendy, it's nice to see you as well. Hello, my love. It's me being me. Hello. Hattie Brumfield, it's nice to see you. Ritz, Vicky, got a few people over there. Cindy, it's nice to see you. No room for you, buddy. It's nice to see you. Tay-Tay, it's nice to see you. Good afternoon. Kelly, big hugs and loves. Catherine, it's nice to see you. Wow, we got a lot of people over there. DH, it's nice. Eeyore, hello. It's nice to see you. So vertical chat, it's great to have you guys here. And then we've got a huge horizontal chat already going on right now. So I'm just going to say hi to the whole lot of you in the vertical chat. In the horizontal chat. Horizontal. Jekyll and Hyde, it's nice to see you. Let me just go up a little bit and I'll try to catch you. And then I'll catch you guys as you respond. Melanie, it's nice to see you. Nero, Sonia, Debbie, Lisa B. Always, Christine, it's nice to have you. Dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. Sweet Jenna, Cinderella, Sherry, it's nice to see you, love. Wendy, Common Sense. The Real Me Too. Robin, it's nice to see you. Victoria, it's nice to see you. Libby, mom of 5.5. She's like, I wish. 9.5. Linda, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. Jekyll and Hyde, Patty. Who else do we have? Paula, True Crime Junkie, Vanny, Frosty Moose. Who else do we have? Donna, Sandy. Mama, it's nice to see you. Riv, hey Riv, it's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. All right, guys. So the reason why I was asking you that is I wanted to know how much of an intro do I need to bring in for this show, okay? Because there's so much going on with video 1 and video 2, as you know. It's going to be difficult to show them. We could do this show maybe tomorrow if I have to show, interview 1 and interview 2 so we can compare them. But since we only have a handful of people that are number 2s, not that you guys don't matter, we will go back over these interviews in their entirety. So just stick around. You will not miss anything. I promise you. You might be a little confused now, but I promise you by tomorrow when we start rolling these out and looking at these interviews in their totality, we will answer any questions that you have or try to, pull what we talked about here today into it. So there were a few main factors that I was looking for with these 2 videos that I thought was very, very interesting that you guys might like to know. And that's truly, what are the past tense? What are the inconsistencies? And what were the other ones? Past tense, inconsistencies, and contradictions. So there was 3 main things that I wanted to focus on in this search. So again, what I'm doing is I'm building a database, and this is compiling a whole bunch of information. And in this information, we're plugging in transcripts, we're plugging in a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I'm not going to go through everything I'm plugging in, but I'm focusing on just transcript 1 and transcript 2 in this. So Sebastian is consistently referred to in the present tense in both interviews. There are no clear past tense references to him as if he were deceased or no longer existing. So just to throw that out there for interview 1, which is Duchess, and interview 2, which is the WSMV interview with Holly Thompson. One was over the phone, one was in person, okay? In both interviews, Katie and Chris used past tense only when describing specific events or routine before his disappearance. He was playing, right? We were having a really good weekend. He said, "I love you, Mom." When talking about Sebastian himself in a global sense, those past tense verbs are tied to the day and evening he went missing, ongoing characteristics, habits described in narrative past, how he behaved in California, school lapse, his taste in music, his routines with friends. They repeatedly switched back to present tense when talking about who he is, what he likes, and hope for his return. He is a high-functioning autistic. He loves music. He is somewhere. He is loved. He's going to come home. The pattern is consistent across both interviews. I know many people now, the inconsistencies, the reason why I'm clarifying this is there is a reason. You're going to see, because many people, like me, believe that interview 1 was a dry run of what they were going to say. Now, granted, this is not like bombshell. It is explosive, but not bombshell information here. You know, I mean, we are describing it. I don't think the bombshell stuff is going to be here until we start approaching the beginning of next week. At the beginning of next week, we're going to be tying in 2 more different interviews, and this is when things start really getting sideways, okay? And that's when we're going to start comparing these things again. So, love all 10, I meant. Well, let's hope that's what you meant. I mean, I'd hate for the kids to come on the Bullhorn Betty channel and see, Mommy only loves 8 of you. The other 2, well, you know, you 2 know. I'm just joking. We know you love all 10 of them. All 9.5 plus a half. Plus a half. Or half times square, right? Doesn't half times square give you a whole baby? That's what we need to do. 9.5 square. Well, that might sound wrong. I wonder if they bought a new home too. I don't know. Dang, Mama's repeating. I feel bad for Sebastian. I do too. But so far, nothing really jaw-dropping is happening at this point, right? So both interviews, like I said, they're talking about the past tense, not when talking about Sebastian himself on global. Those past tense verbs are tied to the day, evening he went missing, and ongoing characteristics about his habits in a narrative past, how he behaved in California school lapse, how he tasted. Okay, they repeatedly switched back to present tense when talking about who he is. I think I already read that. Given the length of the transcript, there is no instance in these documents where either of them clearly frames Sebastian as if he's deceased. We all know that. There's no framing of, you know, kind of like what we heard in Letecia Stauch, or now granted, we're going to start hearing some more of those things, but not in these 2 interviews. Okay, so just bear with me. So let's go over the timeline in the night of his disappearance. Okay, these are going to be notable shifts or refinements between the two interviews. Okay, Duchess was on 3-3, WSMV was on 3-4. Do you guys understand that? One happened one day. The very first interview they ever did to talk about Sebastian was on Duchess, and they did this by phone. You did not see their faces, you did not see their body language, you did not get to see anything. The second interview is in a stark contrast. It was in their living room. It was on camera. It was with a professional news reporter that has done this before, that is very seasoned. And you could tell the stark contrast from one interview to the other, the professional one and, obviously the amateur one. However, the timeline in the night of the disappearance, when we're looking at the Duchess interview, and this is why it's so important and why I asked you guys if you remember or if you had seen both of these interviews, because that's the only way you're going to remember these details. When we get closer to the end of this packet of paperwork, we're going to actually see examples. I'm going to go to those spots in the interview and show you. So just follow with me verbally for right now. So the timeline in night of disappearance, the bedtime description. So on the Duchess interview, Katie says Sebastian went to bed at 9 p.m. She fell asleep on the couch around 10 and then went to bed around midnight. Do you all remember that statement? If you all remember that statement, put a yes in the chat. And we should have a lot of yeses. And for all the people over in the vertical chat, it's nice to see you. We've got 93 over in the vertical and 179 over here in the horizontal. So I just want to say it's nice to see you. Nancy, it's nice to have you. Elizabeth, it's nice to have you. Coupon, it's nice to see you. Darren. Okay, so you guys have. Okay. So you guys remember that. Now, in the WSMV, it altered slightly. She said she again says she went to bed when, she again says he went to bed when he was told that she later went to bed. But the precise time, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight, are not repeated in the WSMV interview. The narrative is compressed. And this is why I think it's important about this. Hey, Daffy, Peggy, Bam Bam, it's nice to see you. We got Pebbles and Bam Bam again. I love it. Is Pebbles in the chat? Pebbles, are you in the chat or do we just have Bam Bam? No. SJ, it's nice to see you. Starflower, hello. So she omitted times. They were more vague in this. They were tightening up their terms, their behaviors, how they spoke. They weren't as loose. So in my opinion, they absolutely went back and watched their interview with Duchess and modified how they were going to approach certain things in the WSMV interview. So again, she says he went to bed when she told him to, and then she later went to bed. But again, the precise times, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight, are not repeated. The narrative is compressed. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, is the statement she made on WSMV. This is more a detail omission, compression on camera than in a substantive change in the story. So it's changed subtly, but not enough to raise any eyebrows, is the way I'm understanding it. The phone call with Chris that night. This is very interesting, and many of us have also come back to this for different reasons. But for the purposes of this, it's just comparing statements from one interview and another and what those statements may mean. For example, on Duchess, Chris specifies that they were on the phone about 9:43 or 9:46 p.m., that she started to fall asleep and he told her to wake up and put the dogs up and go to bed right around midnight. He says call logs were verified by law enforcement. You guys all remember that. Well, on the WSMV interview, The precise evening call and time window are not mentioned at all. Only the early morning call when she could not find Sebastian is described. Again, this is an omitted detail in the second interview, not directly contradicted, just fully omitted. The discovery that Sebastian is missing, and we need to analyze this a little bit more, but let me get this all out so we understand what we're talking about here. Duchess, Katie says she woke up early to get him ready for school, could not find him, looked several times, then called Chris, who then called the sheriff. He says the deputies arrived about 10 minutes later. Remember that 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is going to be crucial here in a little bit to help support some of Mob Crew's theories and what he's been telling all of you guys on the show. Pebbles! There's Pebbles. Now we officially have Pebbles and Bam Bam. Pebbles and Bam Bam. Woohoo! Just need a friend. We got a Frank. We got a Frank, but I don't think we have a Fred. We need a Barney too. Don't forget about Barney. What the hell's wrong with you folks? Bam Bam said, "Hey Pebbles, hey, hey. Hey.
What?
Okay, let's get back to this. So they said that she woke up early. The discovery of Sebastian on Duchess. Let's get back to this. So let's reread this. On Duchess, she says she woke up early to get him ready for school, but could not find him. Looked several times, then called Chris, who then called the sheriff. In the WSMV, Katie says she normally wakes him up around 6 a.m. Did a quick search, about 3 minutes, around the house thinking he might be getting breakfast, then called Chris. Chris says he then called the sheriff's department and deputies arrived within minutes. The WSMV version adds the about 3 minutes and around 6 a.m. Okay? You guys understand that? 2 key details were added from the statement from Duchess to WSMV. WSMV, 3 minutes were added and around 6 a.m. was added. The Duchess version gives no exact wake-up time, but describes multiple searches before the call. This is a refinement, not a direct conflict. Why are they refining so many things from one interview to the next? We need to be asking that question, right? Are you guys following? Who's learning something out of it? Is this interesting for you guys? Are you guys understanding a little clearer of the differences? If you are, put an A in the chat. If you're not getting a whole lot out of this, put a B in the chat. I just like to gauge the audience because this did take some work in compiling and building this. And if you guys are enjoying this or getting something out of it, please consider hitting a thumbs up button for me. I appreciate that. It's very interesting once you start plugging this stuff in, really what comes out, because we're always hearing people saying, oh, this is a conflict. Oh, this is a change. But just really having it black and white and it being broke down. The 2 first interviews, yes, they are wrong, in my opinion. You know, they're littered and still, in my opinion, with lies. But they're not that contradictory. Okay, we're going to start building this. Again, this is the first 2. Then we have to go to 3. Then we have to incorporate 4. Then 5. And then we're going to be asking this system these same questions. And we're going to really start getting these broke down. It's even giving me charts. Like specific charts where it's giving me literally the times in these videos, exactly where to go to get this. I mean, this is like next level stuff here. I'm very, very pleased with how this has turned out so far. Who made the changes? The Proudfoots? Yes, this is all about just the interviews with the Proudfoots, just the Proudfoot statements. We're not really looking a whole lot different than just that. Okay, perfect. Even on our vertical chat, we got a lot of people in here saying that this is good. Okay, good. So we'll keep going. We'll keep going. But I thought that this was very clarifying for me. And I feel like this is something we should have done a long time ago, but have not. Okay, so let's get back to this. Social media, related to social media and electronics, okay? I know this seems insignificant at this point, and maybe we forgot about it, but the system didn't, which is great. So social media and electronic. Chris states Sebastian had no social media, no online gaming, and his phone was extremely locked down. You guys remember all that? Text only to contacts, camera, and calculator. And I think even Seth said he didn't even have a calculator on that phone. And it was Seth that said, can he at least get a freaking calculator? And so they added the calculator onto the phone. He says all devices were given to law enforcement and everything is empty. I don't like hearing things are empty because things shouldn't be empty. Betty, black is your color. Love it. Oh, yeah. I like my, it's my Bucks shirt. So it's kind of like shining, you know. I feel like, hey, what up? What up? Ooh, no, I need to stop. and see, Sherry gets it. That's not a good thing because no matter what, think about it, how often you use your phone, even if you went to the contacts, even if you went to the phone, it should never be empty because who's going in clearing it out? Because I'm telling you, I've got messages from freaking 10 years ago. Okay? I've got emails from 10 years ago. Now, I've only had my iPhone for what, 3 or 4 years now? But I guarantee everything on my own iPhone. I've never erased anything. Who erases crap on your iPhone? You look at my iPhone, guess what? You're going to see that call that happened, a year ago. In my phone. You're going to see text messages from a year ago. Trust me, all those nasty messages from JLR are still in the old phone. That's for another day. One day those messages are going to come up and burn you right in the old kisser there, you SOB. Oh, yeah. Ooh, I wonder what's in some of those emails. Probably stuff to make you blush. So the point of me, sorry, I'm just joking. A little hyperbole, kind of, sort of, but not, right? Kind of, sort of, but not. The only reason why QB didn't get all of that stuff is because she didn't want me monkeying all up in her stuff either. So guess what? When Discovery came around, we both like, okay, well, I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. She didn't want that stuff. I was going to fight them. I'm going to fight them tooth and nail. But, I'm just saying she could have really made people blush with some of the messages she might have gotten up in that Discovery. I'm just saying. All right, let's stop. But, in all fairness, my point, I know I'm being, do we have a troll up in here? Let's whack a troll real quick.
Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot, turning trolls into what they're not. Whack a troll, let 'em tumble, let 'em roll. Swing your spatula or a stick, whack 'em fast,
Whack 'em quick. See, you guys miss it. See, only the vertical chat gets to see what's going on behind the screen because they don't get to whack the troll. Okay, so I got to dance for them, okay? So you guys are missing it because I'm behind here having to keep them entertained, right? Because they don't get to see the trolls. So we're over here just dancing, okay? We're going back to the sock hop days, okay? You guys remember that? If you do, then you're too damn old. I'm just letting you know. You could be as old as me. Just, yeah. And the thunder rolls. And the thunder rolls. Oh, good gracious. Good gracious. All right, let's turn the whack the troll off. Okay, guys, now that we're over the fun stuff, but let's get back to this. So we have, they're saying that everything was empty. I don't like that. Who likes to hear that all stuff, like he's acting like he's proud? That tells me there's something not right. Nothing should be that empty. Even if you're not using it that much, anytime you have used it should be registered. You should not have an empty phone ever. Dang it. Alicia, keep your eyes on the road, okay? Keep your eyes on the road. Southern Grammy, she kept her eyes on the road and somebody else wasn't. And we had to help her out and pray over her because she was jacked up in a freaking... Watch the road. I dropped my ear. I'm a troll. Can you play it again? Nope. 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 You can go... Rewind and then fast forward. That's what I do. When I want to go back and see something, I'm older than you, Betty. That's okay. We still bebopping. I have an old soul. What can I say? Okay, getting back to this. So, all devices were given to law enforcement, and according to him, he says everything is empty. Again, nothing should be empty. Nothing should ever be empty. Just because you don't use it very often doesn't mean empty. It doesn't mean empty. So anyways, getting off that. In the WSMV, Chris again says that the Minecraft game is not online. He has a Switch, no gamer tag, no online capabilities, and his phone, computer, and games are locked down. He repeats that they cooperated fully and all electronics were checked. So there's no substantive change here from Dutch's interview to the WSMV interview. The second interview reinstates the same core story in a tighter form. You'll find out they tighten a lot of the stuff up from Dutch's to them. Again, dry run for Dutch's, tightened up for the WSMV. They thought they did good, and then the whole world explodes and nobody believes them. Nobody but the deception, the behavior panel. The behavior panel. They're the only ones that believe that Chris and Katie are and I've got a book up here and a course up here from Chase Hughes, and everything that I'm reading and learning contradicted everything that they said when referring to Chris and Katie. I'd like to see them redo their assessment on Chris and Katie. I think we should all be going over to the behavioral panel and see if their assessment has changed now that we have umpteen million interviews for them to review. Certainly they can give us a more accurate, updated information on what they truly feel. But so far, we've never heard from the behavior panel except that one time when they did the interview, and I think they may have done a follow-up to speak about that. But we need more consistency from them and just see if they still agree with their assessment previously. So coming back to the computers, he's basically saying they're locked down. Now we're going to go to the friends in schools. This is another spot where they alter their language. But is it inconsistent? Is it refinement? Or is it a downright lie? So on Dutch's, they said that Sebastian only had a couple of kids in school he talked to. All kids who interacted with him have been interviewed. They emphasize he is very socially awkward, struggles to make friends, and that it is his lifelong dream to have friends. You guys remember that? So in the WSMV, they modify that a little bit. They again state the school friends were questioned. None of them knew anything. They described him as sweet, stubborn, and liking Uno games and fidgets. No contradictions. The second interview largely repeats the first with a few different emotional emphasis. So we're going to be finding out and hearing a lot about these emotional emphasis. Now, another area that we notated in the course of these two interviews was this bus situation. You know, would he be able to take a bus? Would he be able to travel? We found out from Seth that his son is well-to-do, knows what he's doing, can shoot a gun, can fish, can knows how to get to his home, is directional. According to Katie as well as Seth, Seth worked with his son to make sure his son knew exactly turn by turn how to get from one house to the other, so his son wasn't confused. But on Dutch's, they said nothing is off the table and he could physically ride a city bus, but that he has never used a city bus and he does not understand money. In the WSMV interview, this is where it kind of gets hinky because they almost 180 this statement. They said directionally, he can guide someone from their house to his father's house to a certain local spot like Culver's, and that his dad works with him on routes. They describe his navigation as good for familiar routes, but say whether he got a ride or a bus is still speculation they cannot answer. Mind you, he rides a bus to school daily. So again, this is a nuanced evolution, okay, from statement to statement. The first interview focuses on his lack of experience and understanding of transportation and money. And the second interview emphasizes his strong sense of direction on familiar routes and ability to guide someone to his father's home in Clarksville. These points can coexist, good sporadic spatial memory, but no practical money bus experience. But they shift the public impression from probably can't manage transport toward can absolutely guide someone along the way, which is a meaningful change. It's a meaningful change. So here is our first change from one interview to another, and it's related to whether or not he could get on a bus or whether or not he could travel. Now, search, law enforcement, and video. As you guys know, on Dutch's, they describe this being the largest search conducted with National Guards, aircraft, helicopters, horses, ATVs, fixed-wing aircraft, dive teams, cave void searches. Extensive camera review from the neighborhood and surrounding areas. They say everybody has turned over everything and that there are thousands of hours of videos. So we've got a lot of video. They note law enforcement has all digital evidence, say they have been vetted and clear, and that there's no wrongdoing by the parents or family. This is all in the Dutch's interview. Now, in great contrast, in the WSMV, they again describe massive search efforts, including resources from other counties and states, and say they do not know what more law enforcement could do. On video, they stress that there is no camera that has captured him, that it's very dark in their area, and that the investigators requested footage from before he disappeared. They say they cannot comment on that request and directs questions back to law enforcement. They say that they have worked and are fully cooperative with all agencies, provided anything requested, but they do not repeat the specific language that they have been cleared of any wrongdoing. This is a change in framing, right? First, on Dutch's, they're telling us that they have been cleared, that there is no wrongdoing. All parents have been cleared. But the very next day, they tone it down and say they have been fully and they have been fully cooperative with the investigation and law enforcement. On Dutch's, Strong claims that the parents have been cleared and that there is no wrongdoing on the family's part. WSMV only claims full cooperation. Cleared is not stated at all. Given that law enforcement has publicly stated they have not cleared anyone, while also saying they have no evidence of foul play, this difference matters contextually. This is a difference. This is different. This does matter. And it goes to the contextual. So this is, in my opinion, a flat out lie. I mean, they are fully cooperating, but Dutch's, they were cleared, and he knew they weren't cleared. Hey, Donna, thank you. Thank you. Oh, is ICU in here? Hello, ICU. It's nice to see you. Let me go up here and see if there's anything. They need to investigate where he came missing from first. Well, he did. They did. They're at his house. This is where he came missing. I don't think he went missing from according to law enforcement. Law enforcement has dismissed that he didn't make it home. So according to law enforcement, he made it home. But anyways, getting back here, they're stating that on Dutch's, they were cleared. On WSMV, cleared was never once stated. They talked about the that it was that they've been fully cooperative, and this difference matters contextually, so it is a change. Internal contradictions or conflicts. This is going to be interesting. Hey, Erna, thank you. I bet he did make it home. That's what we're hearing from law enforcement. I mean, we can, of course, challenge law enforcement and come up with our theories and stuff. Like, nothing's telling us to go outside of, not to go outside of what law enforcement says. But in many of these cases, we need to trust what law enforcement says. Now, granted, this is Sumner County, and I don't trust them because of what they did to me. My experience with them is very poor, okay? So it's very hard for me to believe anything that comes out of their mouth because of what they've done, because I see how dirty they're willing to be. But it doesn't change the fact that they would be the number one source that everybody would go to for information. And they're saying that these certain things don't matter. So at least one of our theories has to be exactly what law enforcement, all the facts have to be exactly what law enforcement says. We can't just keep changing everything law enforcement says. So in this case, we're only going off what law enforcement says and what Chris, Katie, and Seth say. That's where I'm deriving all of this information from. Nothing more, nothing else, nothing being infiltrated, no opinions, no biases, no nothing. Just strictly from the mouths of the babes. The people involved in this is what's being plugged in. So, again, now we're going into the internal contradictions and conflicts. Below are places where Katie or Chris contradict themselves or each other, or where their public story shifts in a way that can be seen as a conflict. This is going to be interesting. So the first one, the major glaring one, as we were just speaking of, comes down to the clear versus fully cooperative. Duchess, Chris is speaking and says, mother, stepfather, father, and family have been extremely cooperative, vetted, checked out, and that literally we have been cleared with no wrongdoing and no negative input from law enforcement. That came on the very first interview with Duchess out of Chris's mouth. Now, on the WSMV video, Chris is speaking the next day. He says they've worked very fully and cooperatively with all agencies, have provided all requested items, but does not repeat the cleared language, instead of emphasizing on their cooperation. Law enforcement stance, their context. Sheriff later states they have not cleared anyone, but have no evidence to support foul play. Now, this is a Chris versus law enforcement conflict in the Duchess interview, and a Chris versus Chris tone change between Duchess and WSMV, going from we've been cleared to "we've fully cooperated," with no explicit, clear claim. So this is one major conflict, okay? This is a major contradiction. This, in my opinion, is huge because Chris, as well as Katie, were trying to run to the finish line and wave the flag saying, "We have nothing to do with it. Look somewhere else." They were the first ones immediately to go out. They didn't care about their son at that moment. They only cared about clearing them when nobody was cleared. That is odd to me. That is very, very odd to me. Now, number two is the ability to navigate in the transportation. This is a major glaring change in their story, right? Because in Dutch's, Sebastian had never ridden a city bus and doesn't understand muddy. He implies such travel is theoretically possible, but unlikely based on their experience. However, in the WSMV, Chris and Katie say Sebastian can guide someone from their house to Clarksville, his father's home, and local spots like Culver's. They highlighted his strong sense of direction on familiar routes, but say whether he got a ride on the bus is unknown. This is self-contradicting. An emphasis between the two interviews. Emphasis, limitation, no bus use, no money sense. Second emphasis, capability on known routes, can direct someone long distance. The statements can coexist logically, but they push in different directions regarding whether he could realistically travel far from home with assistance, which matters for how the public imagines the disappearance. 3, how often and how long Katie searched before calling Chris. Interesting. So on the Dutch's interview, Chris says Katie made an effort to look and search several times. Then called him. The timeline is less precise in the Dutch's interview, but suggests multiple search attempts before phoning him. However, in the WSMV video or interview, Katie says she took about 3 minutes walking through the house, checking usual places before calling Chris because she could not find Sebastian. This is a mild Katie versus Chris detailed mismatch. One frames it as several searches. The other quantifies it roughly 3 minutes of checking. This is a small internal inconsistency in description rather than a major contradiction of fact. So we have to realize that there is a difference between description of something and an actual contradiction of fact. And they're saying that that is not a contradiction of fact, but an internal inconsistency and a description in description rather than fact. So the other contradicting part is the parents' role and focus on themselves versus Sebastian. In Dutch's, Chris devotes a significant time to defending himself over a custody case involving another child, insisting that the situation had nothing to do with Sebastian and that people are judging him unfairly based on that case. He also strongly asserts that there is no animosity between him, Katie, and Sebastian's father, and emphasizes how well they all work together. Sounds like that, now that we've ripped the Band-Aid off, was a facade. There was major turmoil between them. It's just they were all trying to get along for the sake of Sebastian. In the WSMV, however, the custody case is again raised as part of harassment. Chris repeats that it has nothing to do with our son and that they requested the case to be sealed. The tone is more controlled, less detailed. The family dynamic with the father is framed as positive and cooperative, similar to the first interview. Not a factual contradiction, but a shift in tone. The first interview is more defensive and expansive about the other case. The second keeps the same message, but in a shorter, more controlled framed language. You're going to keep hearing this. More controlled, framed language. Why? Why? Because the dry run was Dutch's, and they're more controlled and framed properly or more properly on the WSMV video. There are points in interview 1, Dutch's Live, where Katie refers to Sebastian in past tense when describing him or his actions. All timestamps are video time codes from the transcript. So this is interview number 1. Excuse me. Interview number 1. And this is going to be related to the events in routine description. This is going to be the first of the... Is this in Dutchess? I think this is... Oh, yeah, I guess so. So, 24... Okay, that's close enough right there. So, when we come home from having supper that evening, he was playing. Past tense, was.
What that looks like again for everybody?
Actually, when we come home from having supper that evening, he was playing.
So that's one past tense. The next one is at 24:14. It's coming up in about a second.
When he went to bed, when I told him to go to bed, he said, "I love you, Mama." And
He had even said, "I love you, Mama." He had even said, "I love you, Mama." Am I missing something? Oh, let's bring the missing kids home. Happy New Year's Eve. Thank you. Happy New Year's Eve to you too, Love Bug. I appreciate it. For all those that are coming in, I know we have about 300 people in our horizontal chat and about 76 in our vertical chat. I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you. We're going over the case of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers and really breaking down the first 2 interviews. Nothing major going on. There are some contradictions. There are some past tense being used, but nothing that's really guiding us to believe that Sebastian is deceased or not coming home. Just, some suspicious red flags related to some statements Chris and Katie were making at the beginning of this case. So we're just going to go over those. And you just heard the first one. You're just hearing the second one. He went to bed when I told him to go to bed. He had even said, "I love you, Mama." Okay, and then this next one is 5 seconds. Okay, there you go. And this is a little later that evening. I myself went to bed, and when I went to wake him up for school, he wasn't there.
Later in the evening, I myself went to bed, and when I went to wake him up for school, he wasn't here.
Okay, he wasn't here. All right, now we're getting to the characteristics and background detail framed in past tense. We're going to go over to 24:49 right here. And this is where Duchess repeats to herself, "You did tell me that Sebastian is not a runner," and we'll let her play from here.
He's not.
Okay, Adam.
And you did tell me that Sebastian is not a runner.
He's not.
It's okay. Take your time.
Katie had previously described him as not being a runner. That earlier framing of his history is in the past tense. In summary form here, does not have a history of running. Now we're going to go to 3702. He was an avid Minecraft fan. This to me is the most egregious of them, because in this one, this was absolutely past tense of something that he loves presently. So I think this was the most glaring of all the past tense that were used out of these in interviews. But in Dutch's predominantly, it's this one right here that bothers me so much.
He is an avid Minecraft fan. Loves the color green.
Love the color green. Later part of the transcript, when described his interest phrased in past narrative, while they use past present tense elsewhere about his likes. So now we're going to be at 41. He had eclectic taste of music.
You love him very much. I know that I can remember earlier in our conversation, you were referring to him as Bubba, and I think that's sweet. I call my son Bubba also, so that really tore my heartstrings.
Sorry, I got the wrong one.
My son, he's 30, but he's still Bubba to me. So
a camera and a calculator, and that is
maybe
it.
Not. No, this goes all the way to 4.
Usually.
he seems like it, and I know that you love him very much. I know that I can remember earlier in our conversation, you were referring to him as Bubba. So that really tore at my heartstrings. So, it just, that name is going to stick forever. It's just how it is. Cindy Caton, thank you for being here. She says, are there any old wells that maybe he accidentally fell in?
Okay, sorry, that apparently I got the time off on this one, but it says he had an eclectic taste in music, talking about his music preferences. I know you guys remember that because he talks about the eclectic taste in music. That he had this eclectic taste in music. So in all of these, the past tense is tied to specific times or patterns, that weekend, that night, his prior behavior, not a global, he was my son, he was a good kid, construction suggestion he is no longer, construction suggesting he's no longer alive. So it's saying that there is none of that. There's nothing that's suggesting this. So through the rest of the interview, Katie and Chris repeatedly revert to present tense. He is high functioning. He loves to dance. His favorite color is green. So the past tense used above are bound to the storytelling context. Now we're going to go to the timestamps where Chris refers to Sebastian in the past tense. Again, these are with the 2 interviews. If you're just coming in, we're dealing with 2 major interviews. We're dealing with Dutch's interview number 1, and we're dealing with the green shirt hit interview, which was the mainstream media, the very first mainstream media interview that they did. Now, when we're going over Chris's with Dutch's, we're going to go back to 2601. And this is where Chris clarifies the timeline with the phone call and describes Katie slightly starting to fall asleep while on the couch, and Sebastian had already gone to bed. This sits in the same segment where they recount Sebastian having already said goodnight.
So to make something very crystal clear, so that way there's transparency across the board. Me and the mom were on the phone at 9:43 or 9:46 in the evening. We stayed on the phone for quite some time. The call logs have been verified by all the police departments, TBI included. We stayed on the phone. It was very lengthy. Mom did slightly start falling asleep while she was on the couch. I had said, hey, you need to wake up, put the dogs up, go to bed.
So while recounting the morning, this is about to come up to 2702. This is where they recount what had happened, and we're going to go back to it. While recounting the morning call with Katie, Chris says Katie had called me and that Sebastian wasn't in the house when she went to wake him up. Sebastian's status is described in past tense within this event.
Search several times. Mom has called me at the time and asked me. She was like, I can't find him.
Had called me.
I was like, do what? And she goes, yeah, I cannot find him. I said, well, hang on. I made the phone call and reported it to the sheriff's department because that's what we're supposed to do.
Okay, now we're going to go to abilities and habits framed in past tense. This is where Chris notes that only friends Sebastian had were a couple of school kids at school. This is in past tense. This is at 2804.
Okay.
And the only friends that he had were a couple of kids in school.
Okay.
All the kids that have had any interaction with him have been interviewed and asked.
Okay.
Were a couple kids that had interaction with him. And I guess it's Katie saying it, not Chris. And it's got it in here as Katie. And then 3207 is another one. Chris explains if Sebastian wanted to go to his dad's, he just had to say so, and we would have just called his dad, describing a repeat past pattern. There are the clearest spots in interview 1 where Chris speaks about Sebastian using past tense verbs. Each is tied to recounting a specific event or pattern before the disappearance, not a global "he was my son" formulation.
Was his ask, would he be able to ride a city bus?
Oh, am I in the wrong
Nothing
spot?
is off the table as far as abilities. Could the young man get on a bus? I'm sure he could.
We've never
A
done
couple of times are wrong on here.
If he could do to get a friend, he would love to do it, which is potentially dangerous because that could open up.
We have the wrong time. We have the wrong blah, 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 blah. Each is tied to recounting a specific. Okay, so that was off. He just said you would call his dad. I remember him saying that. I can't find it. They got the wrong time frame in here. These are the clearest spots in the interview 1 where Chris was speaking about him using the past tense, but that was before his disappearance. Now here's where Katie was using the past tense, and this is on the WSMV interview. So let's go to the WSMV interview. And 202 to 208.
Everything was pretty normal.
And this is what she said. We got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room, describing that Sunday.
He was playing in his room. When I told him to go to bed, he did.
And then 20. Let's just keep going.
Little bit
The next thing is when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there.
Okay, so that was that. So this is his mood. And we're about to go. That morning, he was laughing. He was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed that he seemed like he was in a good mood and he was behaving. This is what we're about to hear.
That morning, he was laughing. He was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed that he seemed like he was in a good mood. He was behaving. It'd make more sense if we'd been fighting.
So these, even though they contradict, or they don't contradict, they're different slightly. Each of these are tied to specific time frames, the day, night, rather than describing Sebastian himself as if he's no longer existing. So they don't make sense. They are uses of past tense, but not directly what the system would believe is identifying this person not being alive anymore. So now we're going to Chris in the WSMV, where he was using past tense to describe Sebastian, i.e., he was a good kid. This portion of the transcript attributed to him, his past tense uses to focus on actions. Where Chris is speaking and Sebastian is referenced, the verb is either present tense about Sebastian's character or habits. He's a good kid. He's not mischievous child, or past tense about the event without being direct. He was X. Construction from Chris. Katie is the one who says he was laughing. He was joking. He was in a good mood in this interview. Whoa! It was Katie, not necessarily Chris. Past tense, this is what it says. Past tense about, this is the WSMV. This is the second interview. Past tense about events, but without a direct, he was X construction from Chris. Katie was the one who says he was laughing. He was joking. He was in a good interview or in a good mood in this interview. It was Katie, not Chris. Because of that, there is no distinct, clean timestamp in interview 2 where Chris alone uses he was formulation about Sebastian's character or existence comparable to Katie's line. His contribution in this transcript keeps Sebastian in the present tense. Do you guys hear that? In the WSMV interview, the only person, according to this system, is Katie using past tense, and only Katie using past tense. And remember, Katie is the only one that left that residence in a hurry that morning. So here are the main places where Katie's accounts change or is meaningfully refined between interview 1 and 2 with her relevant lines from each. Here we go. Timeline and morning search. In interview 1, Duchess, Katie as summarized and then confirmed in the live. Sebastian went to bed at 9 p.m., then got up off the couch and you went to bed, and you said you went to bed around midnight and nothing was unusual at that point. Chris adds that she made an effort to look and search several times before calling him when she could not find Sebastian. In interview 2 on camera, Katie says, we got home, everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room, and when I told him to go to bed, he did. A little bit later, I wound up going to bed, and when I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. When do you normally wake him up? Around 6. I took a second to walk through the house. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He's not in the house. How her accounts change. In interview 1, the bedtime, 9 p.m. for Sebastian, Katie to bed around midnight, and several searches before calling Chris are emphasized, and no exact wake-up time or search duration was provided. However, in interview 2, Katie, which is the WSMV interview, Katie gives specific wake-up time around 6 a.m. and quantifies her search before calling Chris by about 3 minutes, while not repeating the 9 p.m. or midnight detail on several searches. So there is clear problems and changes in the account of what happened. Now going to number 2, which is his mood and behavior on Sunday. Without a care, they carried him off and they were on the phone talking, acting without a care. I know, it's joyful. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. So going on to his mood and behavior on Sunday, in interview 1, Duchess relaying what Katie had told her earlier that day, saying, I know that his mom said he was having a good day and he had a great weekend. In the WSMV, Katie directly says, we were out that day and we're having a really good weekend. Everything was pretty normal and he was playing in his room. That morning, he was laughing. He was joking. Everyone we were around that day agreed he seemed like he was in a good mood and was behaving. Katie is the only one with past tense verbiage. Interesting. A lot different than what we've been hearing on social media up to this point, right? That's why it's so important to break this down. Taking my bias out of it, taking everybody's bias out of it, just plugging in the true information and asking the system questions. How her accounts have changed. In interview 1, the good day weekend is secondhand coming through Dutch's summary of Katie's phone call. In interview 2, Katie adds detail, laughing, joking, and third-party confirmation. This is what I would say convincing language. You guys know that. Everyone we are around agreed. Strengthening the positive mood framing with more specifics. I don't like it. 3. What she did immediately after noticing he was gone. Right? Let's look at this. Interview 1, Duchess. Combined account of Katie and Chris. Katie wakes up to get him ready for school. Cannot find him. Searches the house. Then calls Chris. Chris then calls the sheriff's department, and deputies arrive around 10 minutes later. Interview 2, WSMV. Katie, I took a second and walked through the house looking for him. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. He's not in the house. Immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department and made the report. I ran all over the house, outside, inside. I looked in every closet. Within minutes, they were here. How her account changes. So in the Duchess interview, it leaves the duration in order. Search versus call more vague and leans on Chris's explanation. However, in interview 2, it tightens up that sequence and timing. 3 minutes of searching, then call to Chris, then immediately call to the sheriff, then intense search inside and out. Lastly, weeks before he left, looking for a trigger. In interview 1, in Dutch's interview, Duchess refers generally to Katie, saying there was no particular incident or fight that would explain him leaving. You had told me there hadn't been any particular situation that occurred when you felt like there would have been something that happened. In the interview 2, WSMV, Katie, we've been combing over that day and even the weeks before he had left, and I hadn't been able to figure it out. That morning, he was laughing, in a good mood. How her account changed. In interview 1, presents a broad denial of any obvious triggers filtered through a host. In interview 2, adds that she has been actively reviewing the weeks before he left and still finds no explanation, which is more expansive in time frame and suggests a more systematic backward look. Does that help? I don't know. But let's go over all of this. Let me pull this out real quick. Oh, hey, Jim. It's nice to see you. Let's go ahead and pull this out just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to be breaking down these charts. Okay? And we're going to go over them. And I think 1 and 2 are about the same. Let me look at this. Let me look at chart. Okay, it looks like everything. So I'm going to go straight to the second chart we have, not the first chart. And there's a reason for that. It is because the first chart is incorporated in the second chart, but the second chart has the changes in impact where the first chart does not. So we're going to go right straight to the second chart. We'll compare them. I haven't checked through them thoroughly to make sure that they're all the exact same, but for the most part, we're going to do line by line. So over here is what she said on Duchess. Over here is what she said on WSMV. And then right here is what they explain about them. So I think it's pretty interesting. I will take a picture of this and make it into a picture form and put it up on our posts. Okay, we'll do our post. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, guys. Just checking in with our audience right now. Is this beneficial to you guys? Have some of you guys learned some things? I know that it's getting a little monotonous at this point right now because we've gone through it. My eyes feel like they're starting to cross, but I've been reading an awful lot here. There's a lot to go over, and we're going to be going over all of this for days. So let's get back to the 3-3 and 3-4 interview. The first one is going to be the overall day and weekend. In the Duchess interview, the host summarizes Katie. His mom said he was having a good day and he had a great weekend. Katie states in the interview, too, we were out and about that day and we're having a really good weekend. So the change in impact moves from a host paraphrasing to Katie stating it on camera. I don't think it's going to really make a difference. I don't think that's too major, but... What Sebastian was doing before bed. In Duchess' interview, she says, we came home from having supper that evening. He was playing, and when I told him, when he went to bed, when I told him to go to bed, he had even said, I love you, Mama, and said, I love you, puppies. On the WSMV, we got home. Everything was pretty normal. He was playing in his room. I told him to go to bed. He did. He said, good night, Mama. Love you. Said good night to his puppies. The core story is consistent. Playing, then bed. I love you plus puppies. Our WSMV version is tighter and explicitly set the scene as pretty normal. You see that the second one is more of a tighter interview. Sebastian's bedtime. Duchess to Katie, you said Sebastian went to bed around 9 p.m. No exact time was provided in the WSMV interview. Interview 1 gives a specific 9 p.m. time frame. Interview admits it altogether. On the camera, timeline is less pinned down. Which you can flag as detail dropped or softening. Very interesting. Detail dropped or softening. Now, Katie going to fall asleep. Duchess, you fell asleep on the couch around 10 o'clock and then went to bed, you said around midnight. And the WSMV, Katie says a little bit later, I wound up going to bed, not specifying any time. Specific time 10 p.m. on the couch and midnight to bed, disappeared in interview 2. Sequence remains, but the vaguer timing, which reduces how tightly the window can be mapped. Vague is not the friend of law enforcement. Last words, good night. Katie had even said, I love you, Mama. He said, I love you, puppies. In the Duchess interview and in WSMV, he said, good night, Mama. I love you. Says good night to his puppies. Essentially identical, shows consistencies in her last interaction accounts across both of these descriptions, even though slightly different. When she went to wake him up for school, described as waking up in the morning to get him ready for school and finding him gone. No clock time. However, in the WSMV, she says that she went to wake him up and normally wakes him up at 6 a.m. Interview 2 adds a concrete wake-up time. Initial search inside and outside the house. Chris said the mom made efforts to look and search several times before calling him. In the WSMV, Katie specifies that she looked around for about 3 minutes, give or take, and then she phoned her husband and said, I can't find him. He's not in the house. Interview 2 specifies roughly 3 minutes before calling Chris. That mismatch is small, but gives you a concrete comparison point. So, take that for what you will. Who called whom? Chris, Mom called me and asked me. I made the call and reported it to the sheriff's department. In the WSMV, about 3 minutes in, I was on the phone with my husband. Immediately after that, we called the sheriff's department. Order is consistent. Katie calls Chris calls sheriff, but in interview 2 makes Katie's role in calling law enforcement explicit. We called. She says we called, while interview 1 centers around Chris as the one who called the report. Interesting. I never picked that up. This is the first time that has been picked up about the differences from we to he. Law enforcement arrival. Chris says within 10 minutes, the sheriffs were dispatched to the location. Chris and Katie said in the WSMV that within minutes they were here. It was rapid fire. They had cars from here down to the main road. Both describes a vast response. Interview 1 qualifies 10 minutes. Interview 2 shifts to vagueness within minutes, plus the imagery of many cars, which sell urgency more than precision. And what items were missing? Chris states and Duchess. He didn't take a phone. None of his shoes are missing. Katie on the flashlight. He actually has one that he plays with regularly, and I can't find it. So it's likely he took that. And the WSMV does not restate phone, shoes, flashlight. No inventory of items given. Seems like a very crucial piece of information that they would want out there. So interview 1 gives specific, nothing else missing except possibly a flashlight. Interview 2 omits this detail set entirely, which is a notable gap for anyone analyzing what he could realistically have with him. Framing of a runaway. In the Duchess interview, Chris and Katie emphasize he does not have a history of running. Is very to himself in that between midnight and 6 a.m., he basically vanished, walked out of the house, the door was locked, and he was gone. In the WSMV, Katie says, my son does not run. He's not a runner. He's never run away before. Messaging is consistent, not a runner. But WSMV puts that exact phrase straight from Katie's mouth on camera, which is stronger to cite than the panel phrasing in interview 1. So that's really all I have of a contrast between the 2 interviews, the WSMV interview and the Duchess interview. Interview 1 and interview 2. Okay? We're going to incorporate interview 3 and interview 4 next. That's going to be incorporated next week. This was a lot. What I think I'm going to do, if you guys would like this, I think I'll put this whole entire report here. I'm going to have to put some watermarks on it, but I think I'll put this entire report up on our Facebook group. I'll put it in Sebastian Rogers group, and you guys can review it for yourself, and you can do your own fact finding and due diligence on this. But I thought this was very, very, very important, and it does break down the interviews well. You know, we've been speculating a lot about the inconsistencies from one interview to another, and there are inconsistencies without a doubt. This is a 16-page report that found several inconsistencies and flat out untruths. Those are concerns at the beginning of this case, but nothing that really shows that parents are responsible for this. That's where statistics come in. But again, we're not even there yet. We just need to put all of the information in one spot and start asking the system some questions. Will it help us derive where this child is? I personally don't know. But I do believe that we did have a hit on Unit 10 with a cadaver dog. Okay. I'm very, very, very concerned about that. I will not lie to you. That concerns me greatly. This would be right where Katie would have been. This is right where we heard Kathy Bowersox may even have been. Either way, we've never gotten law enforcement to ever even respond one way or another, whether Kathy was there or more people have come forward identifying Kathy being at or near Warsham's at 5:30 at 5:45. If she was, that's pretty damning. That is pretty damning. And then to have a hit on a unit at the Warsham's, a cadaver, and that was never made public, that's a problem for me. Ellie is doing everything it can to be sure this case is not solved, which is unfortunately why it will never be solved. There's definitely, Nathan, I can honestly say that this doesn't feel right for me personally. This doesn't feel right for me. This case has never felt right for me. Me being arrested for exercising my journalistic duties and my advocacy duties. Like I don't have to wear one or no hats. I can wear multiple hats. I was out there for two specific purposes: advocacy and journalistic, all protected under the First Amendment. There was no reason for me to be arrested. I was not a threat to anybody. I never reached out to anybody. I never called for anybody to be hurt or anything like that. I was arrested for no other reason than to try to intimidate me, to shut me up. That is it. And that is what the evidence is going to ultimately prove. So we've got problems. I don't really care for law enforcement out there, but I think they realize, you know, we can have a pissing contest, but I can tell you, I'm going to piss all over your shoes. Okay. I don't care if you are, don't mess with me. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you are a government, don't come knocking on bull. You don't want none of this. Okay. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do because I do not break the law. And every time anybody interferes with that, you are harassing me, not the other way around. So get it right. Don't get it twisted. I don't care if you're a law enforcement, a judge. I don't care if you're a damn preacher. If I'm in there working, stay the hell out of my way. It's just that simple. You don't want to mess with Bullhorn Betty, okay? When I'm doing my job and I'm doing things lawfully and legally, I am an animal if you come and mess with me. An animal. Okay? I don't like people. I don't break the law. I dot my I's, I cross my T's. There is not one community I go into that I have not researched their local ordinances, their property rights, everything. I look at everything there. Anything that could possibly get me in trouble, I make sure I understand it very clearly. When I have to educate their police about what an easement is, what a public easement is, yes, the owners do have rights to use it, but they can't kick people off of it. Okay? There's a section on your property that, yes, you are required to mow it. It's your property, but anybody can use it. It is a public easement. Okay? Laws are pretty clear. Property right laws in all states are very clear. Okay? This is the area that they own, that the county owns. That means if they don't want you having that yard, they don't want you manicuriing. If they want to rip it out and put concrete there, they have that right, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Okay? It's a public easement. And most of these rules, when you do not have a sidewalk, you're required, if you are on a roadway and there's a car coming, there are ordinances out there that force you into that common area by law. By law. So I don't know what's going on with Sumner County. Do I believe, this is a pickle. When you look at this, I know that I say a lot of things on here, and a lot of the stuff I do say is to apply pressure. Let's face it. That's what I know. I'm known for, pressure, right? Pressure breaks pipes. I like to create pressure. Okay? It doesn't mean that I believe that law enforcement isn't doing anything. I believe sometimes they're misguided. I believe sometimes they're not working as hard as they should. There's a lot of things that I believe, but when it comes to law enforcement, I do believe that they act similar, okay? I don't believe that we've got a bunch of people that are out there covering up a crime of a child death, okay? I don't believe law enforcement. Are there some people that would do something like that in law enforcement? I'm sure there are somewhere around this country. But I don't really truly believe that the backwoods of Tennessee is trying to cover up a child death, okay? Do I think they're doing it wrong? Yes, I do. Do I think that they don't know what the flip they're doing? Yes, I do. Do I believe they're intentionally and willfully interfering? No, I don't. I think it's the culture. I think it's the way they've always done things. Remember, Tennessee is the state of let's all get along to get along, right? Not just because it's always been this way, not because it's right, not because it's lawful. It's just this is how we've always done it type of people. Okay? That's just Tennessee. It's a culture. It's a culture thing. So I think it's bad. I think it's just it's a top-down issue. When everybody in a state believes one thing, if you are in a state and your state does not believe in circumstantial cases, your whole entire state is not going to believe in circumstantial. It's just it's a cancer. When you start telling yourselves and your teams you can't do this and you can't do that, it becomes a cancer. I am not can't do gal, okay? Don't ever come to me and tell me if I tell you we need to do this, and this, I need help, you offer to help, you're on my team, I delegate this, don't ever come back to me and tell me what we can't do. Okay? Never, ever, ever, ever come back to me and tell me what we can't do. You come back to me with what we can do. If there's something we cannot do, you find a way to go around it, over it, or under it. And if there is not a way to go around it, over it, or under it, that is plan B. Okay? It's time to go to plan B. It's time to go to plan C. And I expect those things to be brought to my attention. You see? So this is the way I think everybody should be working. I really do. I'm not very good with phone, but I put something, I went over there, and it went over there. Nice. If there was a video of the ex being beaten by him, they would arrest her instead of him. Trust me, I'm not really happy with Sumner County, and we can see that Tennessee, the state itself needs to be retrained. Their law enforcement, I don't know who's been training their law enforcement, but whoever their trainer is at the highest, whoever trains the trainers that send them out to all these counties to train, they need to be fired. Okay, they need they just need a whole top-down approach in Tennessee. I know I've got some friends that love Marsha Blackburn. They don't like the fact that I'm gung-ho about a top-down approach in Tennessee, but you know what? I'm the one having to deal with all these child deaths. They're on the political side of things, okay? They're not into all these child deaths, all the crime that's going on. Most of them stick their head in the sand and don't look at that aspect. They look at other things that are like the farmlands and stuff like that. We're in just a different area. We care. I don't really give granted, we need to have farmland. We need to eat. We need to know our food is safe. I don't like China, stuff being imported by all these countries that could theoretically poison us if they wanted to. I don't like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of not having our food grown here, right here in America. So I do understand the importance of the farmland and making sure that our adversaries don't buy up our farmland. I get that. But there are other pressing issues in the state of Tennessee that I think are not being, people aren't shining a light on it. I think we need more light shined on it, because the more light you shine on something like your criminal justice or the lack thereof, the more people are going to start focusing on that, and the more work that we can have done, the more the legislature are going to try to wipe the egg off their face, right? And so we need to keep going, because it is making a difference. We've seen more child-changing laws in the last 6 to 9 months than we have seen in the last 10 years in Tennessee. So trust me when I say this pressure is working. Us talking about Tennessee and putting them on a pedestal and pointing our finger at them and saying that this is not how you want your policing. It is moving the needle. It's just not moving the needle enough. We need more. It needs to be bigger. Guys, do not forget, February, the 2-year milestones. We're having a huge shindig in front of Sumner County Sheriff. We're showing up with love. We're showing up in green. We're showing up with smiles. We're showing up with signs. We're showing up with honk for Sebastian. We're showing up with our hands waving. We're showing up being good people in Sebastian's army, and we need all the people we can. We have a flyer that's going around. We need Justin talking about it, Smiley's World Stories World talking about it, all the other content creators talking about it. We're spending an arm and a leg for this week-long event from this channel when we can't afford it And I need to make this the most impactful as possible. If you guys would like to donate for it, please do. If not, we're fine. But we need to get this rolled out, and we need at least 100 people out front of Sumner County. No bullshit, okay? I need 100 bodies outside of Sumner County on February 26th. Sebastian deserves that. We have millions of people that have been following this case. Certainly, we can get 100 bodies, warm bodies, on out in front of Sumner County on February 26th. We need warm bodies. We need signs. We need people waving. We need love. We need people. We need to show up in force so they know this beautiful family is a amazing army for Sebastian, and we want to encourage them to do better and to keep moving ahead. We want to encourage them to start seeing them do spot searches for Sebastian. We want to lovingly encourage them to get out of the office, that Sebastian's not in their office. He's somewhere out there in the wilderness, and we need to bring him home. And with them telling us constantly, people aren't allowed to search for him, they're not searching for him, we're getting frustrated. Somebody needs to get up off their ass and go search for this boy. Somebody needs to do that. I don't care who it is. But damn it, somebody needs to get up off their bum and get their asses out in those woods and look for this boy. And nobody is doing it. Nobody. I'm done. We need help. We need people to show up. We need to let the world know Sebastian matters, damn it. That is our responsibility. It's our responsibility. This true crime community, it is our responsibility to have our voices heard for Sebastian. Our voices are Sebastian's voices. Well, you know what? I'm not willing to say that yet, because all of our kids have been in the woods. All of our kids have wound up in the woods. And law enforcement or searchers have walked and stepped right over them unknowingly. So I'm not willing to, we've heard case after case after case. Elijah Vu being the most important case, a little boy, little toddler, searched that area. The area they found him 5 different times with different types of crews, including dogs, folks. And they missed him every single time. Every single time. So let's not say he's not out there. He might not be out there. But, let's face it. These types of cases are not solved by law enforcement finding them. They're solved by dumb luck. All right? They're solved by dumb luck. You guys got hunting dogs? You guys need to let those dogs run wild. You need to get them out there in these woods and just let them go. And let's see what they bring back. Who knows? They might bring back a skull. They might bring back a femur bone, right? Not necessarily Sebastian's. I'm just saying we need to start letting these hunting dogs go and bring us back something. Because I got to tell you, every time we have a missing person case, we find a lot of old missing people cases. And we did at the beginning of this case, Brian Laundrie, 9 people were discovered that were deceased in the search for Brian Laundrie. 9 people. 9 people. So anyways, guys, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for coming here and letting me show you the work that I've been doing behind the scenes. This is just a building process. This is going to be a fully functioning system soon, where we can literally ask this system every single thing that we can possibly know about Sebastian Rogers, and it's going to start spitting out answers. So I'm still building it, and once I build it, we'll get a good timeline, a very specific timeline, and go from there. Okay. But anyways, guys, thank you for being here. Hit that thumbs up button, share me, clip me, throw me out there. We're still trying to build up the channel. We're still trying to get more people to come to the Sebastian Rogers case. The Sebastian Rogers case has faltered a little bit. We're going back to the beginning. We've missed a lot at the beginning, and it wasn't because we intentionally missed it. It was just because there was a fluid situation when we got involved in it. It turned into a shit show. Everything was being pulled this way, that way. I think our brains are just gunky, and I think we just need to strip everything we know and come here with a fresh eyes, fresh brain cells, and build this case from the ground up again. And now we've got the help of AI and all of these systems. I'm paying for the particular platform that I'm using to build this database for Sebastian. So we're not using free services here, okay? And I'm not using Chat GPT either. So just to throw that out there, this is coming from a program that I'm paying a lot of money for to plug stuff in and get stuff out. I'm praying to God that this helps. I'm trying to get this done as quickly as possible so I can quit paying the fee, right? So we've got, I figured if we can just get all the stuff we need to get done in 6 months, maybe we'll get a good database out of this that I can pull stuff out of. So I'm kind of investing in this for 6 months to see what we can uncover in the next 6 months. So that's where we're at, guys. Again, I really do appreciate your time, your energy. If you have any questions, you have information, please send it to me. I will be plugging in more interviews into the system, as well as more statements from law enforcement here in the near future. And we'll really start going after some of these things and really identifying some key areas that we need to focus on. And this really does take away the noise. You know, we have our opinions, but does those opinions really equate to fact? And I think that this is really clarifying, you know, things that looked so skeptical before. Yes, there's some skepticism here between the two interviews, but not as slam dunk as many people, you know, would like you to believe. These two interviews are not, you know, smoking guns by any stretch of the imagination. But do we have a smoking gun somewhere in all of this? We're going to keep building and keep finding out. So keep coming back. We'll be back here for breaking news in the morning, and then we'll do another segment on Sebastian Rogers tomorrow afternoon. Next week, I start going back to my meetings at the county, and we're going to have to adjust our show times because I'm going to have to either go very, very early those mornings or very, very late. And I'm going to be opting very, very early because there's no guarantee that when I get back, I'm going to be prepared to run a show. So I'm going to have to be preparing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays every other week for us to be running a show at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It's just going to have to be like that. But it's only going to be 2 weeks a month that it'll be like that. And it's not going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of 2 full weeks. It may be just Tuesday and Thursday of 1 week, and maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of another week. It may just be a Tuesday or just a Thursday. So once we start figuring out what our schedule is going to be like with the county, we'll get our schedule here for the Bullhorn Betty channel rolled out. So, all right, guys, I love you. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.